All right, we are live. Happy Wednesday, everybody. My name is Chris, and this is We Love Comics, and I'm going to be showing the four books I will be sending in to PGX to get graded. Uh, PGX includes for me, and also available for you guys if you want to use them. They do the pressings and dry cleanings. I've been doing this basically every month for over 8 years now, where you can get them pressed, dry cleaned, graded. I get signature verification if need be and grader's notes added to the back of the slabs, and it cost me about $50 altogether. I don't get paid by them. I don't have any contracts signed. I'm under no obligation to do anything other than share my experiences. They never tell me to edit or change or say specific things. And they want to make sure they give an opportunity for you if you've never used them before. If you send 10 or more books to PGX, write down on the invoice the code We Love Comics Free Press. They will press them, well, one of them for free. Pick the one that you want, otherwise, they'll just randomly pick one. You do have to write that in on the invoice because it's not on their website. It's exclusively for first time We Love Comics members or viewers. You don't even have to be a subscriber unless you want to. Also, the Graders Notes. That's an idea I came up with a few years back. Daniel Patterson, the owner of PGX, was kind enough to implement this. Again, it is not on their invoice. It is not on their website. So this is exclusive, something you have to write in on the invoice. And if you use the code We Love Comics Graders Notes, it's $5 per slab, but they will put the Graders Notes directly on the back of the slab. So especially if you're ever going to sell or trade your books, the person buying it knows exactly what's wrong with the book, if anything. So it makes it a lot easier than trying to find it on a website. Some companies don't even put graders notes on their website. So right there, it's right on hand. So I'm really happy they did that and implemented it. But again, it's something you have to write on the invoice because it's not going to be on the invoice or on their website. It's We Love Comics Graders Notes, and it's $5 per slab. So what I always do is I share with you the four books I'm sending in this month, and every month I give my predictions of what I think the grades will be. I always base it on what I think it's going to be after pressing and dry cleaning. So you may look at a book when I show the image and say, oh, well, it's got wrinkles on it. So how could you be thinking it's this grade? Well, I'm assuming like especially when it's non-color breaking creases, pressings will get that out, which will improve the grades. So no matter who you send your books to get graded, I'll leave that up to you to decide who you prefer. Each company has its advantages and disadvantages. Don't rule out one or only exclusively use one because each one is going to be different for your needs. I like PGX because they are going to be quicker without having to spend extra money. The grading fees are much less expensive. So if cost is a concern for you, they do in-house pressings and dry cleaning, so you don't have to worry about shipping your book to multiple different places where it could get lost or damaged in the mail. They do in-house signature verification, and like I said, they also added the greatest notes on the back of the slab, so you get everything done in one particular area. Their cases, to me, are top-notch as far as the protection they provide. Because, like I said, I've been sending in four books every single month for over 8 years. And in that time of four books every month, only two slabs have ever cracked. Now, you're talking literally about 350 books over those 8 years, and only two cracked. That's a really good ratio. So, before I show the books, I want to give a quick little update. If you're interested, I am doing my auction. I got some good books, and I'm doing this time for the first time in probably years, where I'm doing raw books and graded books. So I'll do each one separately, obviously, in the same video. But that's going to be August 7th, which is a Sunday. I want to make a correction because I accidentally put 6 p.m. for some reason. The auction starts on Sunday, the 7th of June at 3 p.m. And again, that's Eastern time. So I did correct that in the thumbnail, but if you watch the video, you'll see the thumbnail, the old thumbnail is still there in during the video that says 6 p.m. Just ignore that. It's at 3 p.m. Now, the sneak peek video comes next Sunday, which is May 31st. Don't have a specific time, but be on the lookout for that, which means the sneak peek video is I just show the front of the book and tell you what it is to gear you up towards preparing for if you're interested in a book for the auction, you can contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com at that time when you see the sneak peek video, and you can actually make offers on any of the comics to basically snipe it away from anybody so you don't have to worry about missing the auction or having somebody outbid or getting into a bidding war. So it makes it a lot less stressful for you if you make an offer and I accept it. It never sees the light of day at the auction. So you basically prevent it from risking losing it if it's a book you want. And there's going to be some pretty key books in there. We got Motorlouse in the house. No rhyme intended. Said I sent 66 books to CGC. All were signed. I paid for press and cleaning and fast track, both silver and modern age. Is CGC still a good option or is PGX better? Been using CGC for 6 years, so I'm curious. That's a good, legitimate question. It really, honestly, depends on your reasoning why you're getting your books graded. Because, like I said, and this is what I love about Daniel Patterson, the owner of PGX, he allows me to say everything as long as I'm being straightforward. So I'm going to tell everybody straightforward. CGC is still, according to the community, the number one grading company. So they're going to resell for more money. So if you're grading your books specifically to turn around and sell them for the utmost of profit, CGC is going to be the one you're going to want to use. Played out. But now, especially since CBCS is no longer grading, it reduced the amount of options people have. There is PSA, but I haven't used them. I've heard mixed reviews about PSA, so I would stay away from a new company. That's just my opinion, but that's another option. But with PGX, you're going to spend a lot less money to get them graded. Like I said, the cases are top notch because I've had more CGC cases crack over the years than PGX cases. Um, the PGX company has pressings, dry cleanings, and signature verification all in house. So if you send your books to CGC to get them pressed and dry cleaned, especially signature verification, they send it to another department, which means they have to mail it to that department. So chances are things could get, accidentally lost or damaged, delayed with shipping to different places. PGX, you get it all in one spot. They also add the greatest notes on the back of the slab. They're the only company that does that. And like I said, that was because of my idea. So you have an owner that you can actually talk to. So it makes it more personal. You're going to get your books back quicker without having to pay for fast track, although you can do that with PGX as well. You have everything in one spot, so less chance of having it mail in other places, which means more delays, even with fast track, and more chances of, like I said, something happening. But you're not going to be able to sell them for as much. So if it's for your own personal collection and you're looking to try and save as much money as possible because you want to hang them on your wall or, you know, just keep in your possession, PGX is a great option. But if you're straight out looking for ultimate amount of gotta sell it quickly, gotta sell it for the most amount of money, then CGC is going to be the best option to go. Now, people are going to have differences of opinions, and I always say I am not loyal to any particular company. I want the best for what I need to do. I don't understand brand loyalty, especially when companies are not very loyal to their customers. And CGC has a lot of history of doing some very, let's just say, unethical situations with their employees and how they grade things. Now, as far as grading, remember, there are humans that are grading books. It depends on how busy they are. It depends on how much experience they have. It depends on the mood sometimes. All grading companies will get books graded wrong. The fact that people will say PGX gets it wrong all the time and CGC does it right all the time is just not accurate. I've seen many people, and you could watch it on many videos where CGC has gotten books wrong, and there will be people that will think they get a 9.8 and they get a 9.4, a 9.6, and they just keep resubmitting it until they get a 9.8. So was it really a 9.4 and a 9.6, or is it really a 9.8? Because if the same company, if you have to keep sending it back, and there's many videos out there of people doing this, people are just waiting to get the highest grade. So sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. But it's not like there's a book that's a 9.8 from PGX and you send it to CGC and it comes back as 0.5. Sometimes it's a grade difference, and that really is subject to the person grading it. Also keep in mind, and people, you got to be real about this. If somebody takes a CBCS slabbed book or a PGX book or an EGC book or EGS, who's no longer in business as well, and any other grading company, if you send an already slabbed book to CGC for them to crack it open and regrade it in a CGC case, a lot of times they will grade that book lower because it does one of two things. One, it gives CGC money and they don't care what grade it really comes out as because they just want the money. And two, if they give you a lower grade, it makes the other companies seem like they don't know what they're doing. So, am I saying they do that all the time purposely to basically make other companies look bad? I'm not saying that, but is that a possibility if they've done that in the past? I will say highly likely, and we'll leave it at that. So, it comes to your personal preference. I like PGX because they're more personal. I actually contacted in the beginning about eight, like I said, about 8 years ago. I contacted the three major companies at the time. I contacted CGC, CBCS, and PGX and said, I have a YouTube channel. If I do advertisements for your product, can I get some books graded for free or at a discount? CGC and CBCS didn't even respond. The owner of PGX actually talked to me via email, and then we talked via phone. So they're more personal. They are going to be the cheaper version. They are going to have everything in house. They are pretty spot on with their grades, although, like I said, every company gets it wrong from time to time, but they're not going to sell as much. But if you come to my channel and see my auctions, I sell PGX books all the time. People don't have a problem with it. I think it's more blown out of proportion on the internet. You get people that they're so invested in one particular company that that company does no wrong. That's not ethical. That's not being honest. Because even though I work with PGX with this, and again, I don't have a contract signed, I'm not paid to do this. I can say whatever I want. So I'll say flat out, PGX is not the number one company, but they're not a bad company like many people claim them to be. I would not send in my books. Now, if people have watched my channel for years, I've sent in my Amazing Fantasy 15, my Tales of Suspense 39, several giant size X-Men number ones, several Hulk 181s, several Daredevil number ones, and so on and so on. If that company did a horrible job, I don't care if they were paying me to do it. If they were ruining my comics, I wouldn't keep sending them. So the fact that I've been sending 4 books every month for over 8 years should tell you that I have no issues with this company. And anytime there were mistakes, which were few and far between, they corrected them. Because mistakes happen, it's what you do with them after that really dictates a company. And like I said, with CGC, with their Banana Gates, with having swapped comics and swapped labels for years, and they tried to cover it up and hide it, with them raising prices every 6 months, the percentages they charge you for everything, there's give and take with everything. So that's my honest answer to that question. Hopefully that helps. Go with what works best for you. I'm not going to tell you to use PGX, but if you ever want to try them, like I said, if you're a first time user of PGX and you send 10 books or more, use the code We Love Comics Free Press. They will press one of them for free. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see what he wrote back. I never knew it was shipped to a new department. That's crazy. PGX sounds like a good option for a personal collection. Absolutely. Because those things you have to factor in. Because remember, especially if you have a comic book business, time is money. And we know sometimes in a comic book market, the value of a book can plateau and diminish within months. So if you have a book, let's say it's what I call the flavor of the month, where there's like for example, when Captain America lifted up Thor's hammer, right before the movie came out that showed that book was really hot. But once the movie came out, that dropped like somebody dropping a hammer from their hand. So let's say you were a person that sent your book into CGC just as soon as you heard the rumors on a trailer that Captain America was going to pick up Thor's hammer, and you send it into CGC, and it comes back 3 months after the movie comes out. Well, even though CGC sells for more, That book came back too late. Now you're not going to get rid of it. So timing is everything as well. So you have to factor in lots of different cases. And like I say, if you are sending things to CGC to get pressed and dry cleaned, signature verifications, and they do have to mail them to different departments, now that can change at any moment. And if it has changed recently, somebody please correct me. But as far as I know, if you want to send books to CGC to get pressed and dry cleaned, they ship it to another place. So it has to be packaged, it has to be shipped, it takes longer, it costs more money, and there's more potential of loss or damage. Because how many times have you anybody watched a video where somebody said, "Oh, I swear I sent this book in and it was perfect," and it comes back at 9.4, 9.2, 9.6 with damage you didn't expect? Well, what if it got damaged when you sent it to the pressing company, they pressed it and dry cleaned it, and maybe the person that packaged it up is not going to be as careful as you would be with your own books. Maybe they were in a hurry. Maybe they had a deadline. Maybe it was almost quitting time. Maybe they were under the weather. Maybe they were just aggravated and they just shoved them into a box and they damaged your comic. So you got to factor in a lot of different things. But let's see. So I'm glad I can help you with that. And it also says, thank you for being honest. That is what my channel is all about. Like I said, I deal with PGX because they've always been good to me since the start. Before I even worked with them, when I sent in books to PGX just as a regular customer, they actually called me and said, because this is before I knew what pressings and dry cleanings were back in when I first started. The owner of PGX actually called me and said, "Hey, we got your books. Just wanted to let you know, you may not be aware of it, but if you press this one book," and at the time it was Walking Dead #1, said, "If you press this book, it'll cost you, I think at the time it was like $15. He said it'll raise it probably like a half a grade or a full grade." I didn't know about that. They didn't have to call me, but they did, and it actually improved the grade. I think they said, I can't remember exactly, but I think it went from either an 8.5 or 9.0 to a 9.4. So I like their customer service. You can actually speak to the owner. He listened to my idea about adding grader's notes to the back of the slabs. You're not going to get that with a major company because they don't care. They care more about pleasing the stockholders than they do the actual customer. And it shows because how many times over the past 4 or 5 years has CGC done something quote unquote controversial, and yet people will still will follow them with rose-colored glasses. That is not being honest with your viewers, and that is something I am all about. So if you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you honestly, but I'm also going to just tell from my experience. Your experience or somebody else's experience may have differed, and it only takes one time for a company to do something wrong where you'll say, "I'll never use that company again." That happens with everything in the world. I do not have brand loyalty unless a company has some kind of loyalty or at least makes up for mistakes and they earned it. Most people, they care too much and they will not be honest with you. They will be live or die with CGC because they need it to make their money, and they will never tell you the truth because it could damage their brand and they could potentially lose money by being honest. So many people out there, including very big, very popular, very well known channels, will not be honest enough with you because it will affect their bottom line, and their profit matters more to them than their honesty. That should matter to any viewer. And that's why I think I'm hated around the comic book community because I'm no gatekeeper. I don't hide secrets. I don't hide information. I don't paint everything with rose colored glasses. I tell it as it is so you can have a better perspective of how you can spend your money. A company that you spend your money with should be giving you quality and being able to be trusted, and knowing that if a mistake happens, they will be there to fix it and not just disappear or try and push it under the rug or try and pretend it didn't happen. So I am going to tell you straightforward. So if anybody wants to ask questions, be prepared to not get a scripted answer that's going to be what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you based on my experience and sometimes even my opinion, the whole layout so you can make a better informed decision on where you spend your money. So if you appreciate that, you can thumb it up, you can thumb it down, or you can, listen to everybody else. That is fine with me. So GT Key Comic, welcome, good to see you. So thank you. Is it Noder Laus? Forgive me if I get that wrong, but thank you for that question. I'm sure many people ask that, and many people are afraid to ask those questions because they're afraid that the gatekeepers in this quote unquote community will make you feel bad because, God forbid, you say anything that CGC isn't the God they portray it to be. I'm not saying CGC is not the number one company. I've said it on numerous occasions. They will give you the best amount of money for your resale value, but at what cost? You have to think about those things. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. All right. So with that out of the way, if you want to critique the AI art, by all means, please do. I always appreciate people in the comments section. And again, I want to let people know I'm doing the live auction. It is Sunday, the 7th of June. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, not 6 p.m. I made that mistake, so I'm correcting it. The sneak peek video is May 31st, which is also a Sunday. But if you become one of my Patreon members, if you become a paid Patreon member, and you can go to patreon.com/we love comics, you'll get your name up on here. I also want to give a shout out to Kevin W. He just recently came back as a paid Patreon member. Just haven't put it up here yet, so special shout out to Kevin W. But anybody that joins either my paid Patreon membership or my paid membership from YouTube, you'll get your name up here, and you also have the ability to, as of right this moment, you can email me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com to get a list of all the books that I'm going to be selling. There are going to be, now there's going to be 25 ungraded books because I added 5 more. So anybody that already asked for the list, I added 5 more raw books. Message me back and I'll send you those extra 5. But that's only for paid Patreon members or YouTube membership people. So it doesn't matter the dollar amount. If you do contribute $2, you still get the access. So you can message me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com, ask for the list, and the advantage of that is you can actually request the list. If you see a comic you like, you don't have to wait for the sneak peek video. You don't have to wait for the auction. You could say, hi, would you take such and such for this book? If I say yes, it no longer goes to the auction. So you have the advantage of not having to worry about missing out on it, getting outbid, or spending more money than you wanted to. So go to patreon.com/we love comics and become a paid Patreon member. And like I say all the time, 95% or more of that contributions that people send to me goes to me helping all the stray animals that I take care of. And like I said, I just had to spend about a week to 10 days bringing back to life literally one of the stray cats, and he's actually doing very fine now. So the people that did ask about it, he's actually fully recovered at this point. But for literally 4 or 5 days, I had to give him a syringe worth of food because he wouldn't eat for 5 days. So your contributions help me get food, medicines, shelters, things like that for stray cats around the neighborhood. I get them all fixed, spayed, and neutered so they do not continue to expand the population and keeps them from being feral and wild and going into people's garbages. So it's a fun thing for me to do, and it's something that maybe contributing to makes you feel better that it's going to something good. So, with that being said, I usually like to do rants. Let's show the 4 books I'm sending in this month to get graded from PGX. This first one does have a sign, it's got a signature and a sketch. I have this complete series. I actually have 2 complete series and actually could do at least 2 more complete series. I just need number 1 for the other 2. Punisher's here. Good to see you. You're right on time. So the first book I'm going to get sent in, the Bone series by Jeff Smith. If you've never read this, it is such a great story. It's got some good comedy. How this did not make a TV show. I mean, if you look just at the artwork, this is a made for TV look if I've ever seen one. It's a great story. It's got humor in it. It's got some, it's kind of like how Dork is, DORC, that new Image book, but obviously this came before that. It's got sense of humor, but it's got some dark moments in it. Um, there's a lot of printings, so be very careful if you buy these books because they'll look almost identical, except the majority of them, the word bone is in different color. And sometimes you'll see the same color, but the price color is different. So if you have to really make sure, because I've even had sellers that assumed something was a first print and it ended up being a third, fourth, fifth print. Because the number one issue of Bone number one has, I think, 12 prints. So you got to make sure you know. But this is a first print. And as you can see here, it was signed by Jeff Smith and he put a little remark, so it's not a sketch, it is a remark. But here's the amazing thing. I paid $4.28 for this book. No key issue, it's an early Bone issue. Like 1 through 6 is very hard to get. There's not a high print run of these. It's definitely one of those books that has appeal. And if it ever ends up getting a TV show, and they've tried, people bought the rights for it, but they never put it out for some reason. So I think this is just due. And if it does, and I can't guarantee it, books like this are going to just shoot through the moon because they're already hard to get. So I think it's issues 1 through 52, I believe, maybe 53. Um, at a certain point in the mid to late, in around the late teens to the early 20s, it went to Image and then went back to the label right here. It's called Cartoon Books. So that's going to be another thing that's confusing because Image also did a reprint of the entire series. So you'll see some, especially the beginning, 1 through like 15 is Image. That's the Image second prints, even though they're first prints, redoing the entire story. So the first, I think it's issues, I think around 1 through 16 is going to be the CB label here. It goes to Image for like 5 or 6 issues and then goes back to CB for the remainder of the series. But Image did an entire run. The difference is like the number one of the Image is going to be a completely different cover than the CB version. So it gets very confusing. Make sure you know. So check the colors and everything. But like I said, I paid under $5 for this book. It has 9/8 potential, but there are 1 or 2 non-color breaking creases on the back. And with a book that has a lot of black in it, any fingerprint that could show up on here could lower the grade. So this one, normally when I do a 9/8 potential, I say between 9.4 and 9.8. I'm going to go with a 9.2 to 9.8 with this book with white pages. I'd love to have this come back at 9.8, but we'll see when it comes back in about 2 months. But to get a signed with a little remark from Jeff Smith, first print for under $5, I mean, that to me is a no-brainer. Next up, I haven't sent in a book like this to get graded in a long time. Forever, forever, ever. We're talking back in the days when I lived in New York. I don't think I've ever actually gotten this book graded, although I do have 2 or 3 copies of it. For the Walking Dead fans, Walking Dead number 19. Absolutely love this cover. This is the first appearance of Michonne, who they did really well in the TV show. It's a shame that TV show kind of just faded into existence, which I can understand near the end. I mean, it was just the message was all over the place with that. But absolutely love this cover. She is an iconic character. Classic cover, in my opinion, even though it's a modern book. Again, 9/8 potential. I paid a total of, I don't know, because I didn't write the price. So who knows? This could have been the one where I did the trade, because I did a trade years ago. I don't even remember what I traded it for, and I don't know. But it's between a 9.4 and a 9.8 with white pages. So who knows what I paid for it? But if it comes back a 9.8, it'll definitely be worth more than what I paid for it. Next up, we got a key Silver Age book for the DC fans out there. Got this one about 2 months ago or so. Hawkman number 4, first appearance of Zatanna. it's going to be hard to see. It does have wrinkles in it. That's on the actual, you could see the bag, but there's some wrinkling probably due to some moisture. But that's where a pressing and dry cleaning will absolutely help a book like this. Now, it is a lower grade, but as they say, or as I say, low grade is better than no grade. That is my phrase that I came up with. Try and show the edge because it's showing a shadow. I paid a grand total of $286 for this book. So if you're a DC Hawkman fan and a Zatanna fan, this is a must own because it's her first appearance. I paid $286. I'm predicting after pressing and dry cleaning 3.0 to 4.0, roughly, with off-white pages. Definitely another book to add to your collection. And this one, I was really happy to get one. I couldn't believe not only did I get a second, but I got it for cheaper than I got the first one. Um, Another DC for the DC fans. Flash 105. This is the first start of Barry Allen in his first series. So this is basically Flash number one. The reason that it's Flash 105 is the Golden Age Flash went to issue 104, and after the first appearance of Barry Allen in Showcase 4 came out, took me a second to remember, and he was so popular, he took over the series. So issue 104 is the last appearance of the Golden Age Flash, and 105 starts Barry Allen. So this is technically, it's like Captain America number 100, for example, or things like Tales of Suspense 39. It's This is technically not his first appearance, but it's his first solo series, first appearance of the Mirror Master. Definitely not an easy book to get, not a cheap book to get. I paid $433.77 for this book, which is actually a really good price, even in low grade. I think after pressing and dry cleaning, this is going to come back between, in my opinion, 2.0 to a 3.0 with off-white pages. There's, as you can see, a lot of color break increases along the edges. That's why I'm predicting it's such a lower grade, even though the cover overall looks really nice. But again, if you look up the price of this book, $433, even at a 2.0, is actually a pretty decent price. But we'll find out once I get it. So, those are the four books. Let's make sure you go see my auction. Again, if you are or become a paid Patreon member, you can actually request right now a list of all the books. And like I said, if you've already requested the list, I added 5 more books, ungraded books. So there are going to be, let's see, 15, yeah, there's going to be 15 raw books, and there's going to be 11 graded books. And the 11 graded books, they're all big boy books. Just to put it in perspective, the quote unquote worst book, I'm going to give you one of the books. This is a freebie. The quote unquote worst book for the graded books is Fantastic Four number 6. That's the second Doctor Doom and the first ever team up between a Marvel villain team up, first ever, between Submariner and Doctor Doom. So that's the quote unquote worst book in the auction for the slabs. So if you're interested in knowing the books, and there's some big boy books, remember, I don't charge tax like eBay. So even if I sold it at the same price as somebody bought it on eBay, you're saving sometimes hundreds of dollars in taxes. And I also do payment plans. So contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com if you're either a paid Patreon member. You have to prove that you are a paid Patreon member, but if you just join, I'll know because I'll get a notification. Or if you join my YouTube membership, doesn't matter the dollar amount. So thanks for watching, everybody. You can thumb it up or thumb it down. Thank you so much for being here. Notorious. Oh, there you go. Notorious E. That's what his name is. I butcher things all the time, so forgive me on that. Thank you for your question. I appreciate that. And also shout out to GT Key Comic and Punisher 6654. All three of you are today's surprise subscriber shout outs, even if you're not a subscriber. Great Loner says, "Hey Chris, on one of your last streams you mentioned that you could submit coverless books with a facsimile cover to get them graded. How does that work?" What will happen is, um, It used to be the same with CBCS, but they're not in business anymore, so I can't even utilize them. If you send it to PGX, you will get a point 0.3 grade, and they will mark on the label that it is a replica cover. CGC, I don't know what PSA does because I haven't seen one. So if anybody knows if PSA is different, please put that in the comments section. But I know with CGC, you'll get what's called an NG grade, which means no grade. And again, on the label, they will mark that it is a coverless copy with a replica cover. So I like the fact because CBCS also used to do a point 0.3 grade. I prefer the point 0.3 over the NG. So basically, what'll happen is whatever company you decide to send it to, and like I said, I don't know what PSA does. So if somebody wants to mention that, they can post it in the comment section. But if you send it either to PGX, well, if you send it to PGX, they will give you a point 0.3 grade, and they will mention that it is coverless with a facsimile cover. With CGC, it will be NG grade, N as in nickel, G as in George. And again, they'll write the same thing on the cover, on their slab, saying that it is coverless with a facsimile cover. Um, I have several coverless copies, um, several that have a facsimile cover. So remember this also, because this is very important, because somebody made this mistake with showcase number 4. They listed it as coverless when they were selling it. Now, the front cover was missing on the book, Showcase 4, but the original back cover was still attached to the book. So if you only are missing the front cover, it is not a coverless book. So you would actually get a point 0.5 grade. So either if you have just the front cover and no back cover, or the back cover and no front cover, it's not coverless. It's a point 0.5 grade. So for something to be coverless, it has to be missing the entire front and back cover. So that is important because, like I said, when I saw on eBay somebody listing showcase number 4 as coverless, I was the only one that bid on it because people assumed that coverless meant the entire thing was missing. And the seller did not know that having the back cover still attached did not make that a coverless copy. It made it a copy without a front cover. Again, that's the difference between NG grade and a point 0.5 grade could be hundreds of dollars. So hopefully that helps you. And he does respond. Thanks for the info. It is my pleasure. I love helping the community. I don't know why I get such a bad rap for it, but that's okay. Sometimes it's jealousy. Sometimes it's just, gatekeepers being gatekeepers. Somebody asks me a question, especially if I can answer it, I'm going to give a straightforward answer, and hopefully it helps you make your decisions. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I came up with years ago my slogan: "Low grade is better than no grade." Because let's face it, who wouldn't want Amazing Fantasy 15 and a 9.8? How many of you out there can afford it? I certainly couldn't. If you can afford a coverless version of Amazing Fantasy 15, because that's all you can afford, guess what? You still own the first appearance of Spider Man. So whether it is a low grade book or a high grade book, you still own it. So if I understand there are people that want only high grades, and there's nothing wrong with having a preference. But if you can never afford it, then you'll always wait your whole life saying, oh, I have to have this grade, otherwise I won't get it. Well, what happens if your whole life goes by and you never get it? Because you put your expectations too out of your own reality to where you just spent your whole life waiting for something that never arrived. So get what makes you happy, get what you can afford, don't overspend just to say, I got it. Wait for deals, make deals happen. And you could get books for 50, 60, 70% of what somebody else paid. Because, like I say all the time, if you got a lot of money, anybody can go buy an Amazing Fantasy 15 for the price that it's worth. But can you get it 25% less? Can you get it 50% less? Can you make deals happen? Can you find deals out there? That to me is the challenge. That's to me the excitement. And that's what my channel's all about. So if anybody that watches my channel knows I find deals and I make deals happen because that brings me the joy of knowing, wow, I just got a $10,000 comic for $3,000. And thank God for PayPal credit. So I utilize PayPal credit to be able to allow me to buy books that I couldn't afford with paying it all in one shot. And that's why when I do my auctions, and I don't think anybody else does it on YouTube as far as comic book community is concerned, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the very least, I was the first to allow payment plans anywhere from 2 months up to 2 years, depending on the price of the book. So you can actually get a grail provided you make the payments. That's a big thing. But I try and do what I can to help the community because if you're happy about comics, if you're happy about collecting, and you have your integrity and you do keep your word and you do listen to those who want to help you, it could be a great experience for you, making you want to tell other people to get into the comic book world. That's what helps. Not the gatekeeping, not being dishonest and misleading customers, not owning a comic book store and hoarding 600 variants and telling people how rare it is and then distributing them out one at a time, keeping the prices high. That means they care more about profit than their own integrity. If people want to follow those people, you know, be careful what wagon you hitch your horse to. So with that being said, if you appreciate this video, you can thumb it up. You can thumb it down if you hate it. Perfectly fine. You can subscribe or hit unsubscribe. I get both all the time. Does not affect me. I'm here for quality over quantity. Hopefully you will contact me at peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com after you've become a paid Patreon member or a YouTube membership. And you could see right here, there we go, right here in the center where it says PayPal, peacefulfeelings@yahoo.com. Show me that you're a paid Patreon member or a YouTube membership program you joined, and you can request a list of all the books, and you right then and there can make an offer on any of the books. And if I accept that offer, either you pay for it in full, you can get the book right away, or you could do a payment plan. And remember, cash and check and money order payments, I also add discounts. So I do a lot of things that others don't. And that's why people keep coming back for more. So anybody that's ever bought from me, if you want to share your experience, put it in the comments section. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And let me know what you think about the AI art. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, it is not you. It is not I. It is We Love Comics. Enjoy the rest of your day. And don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching.